Hello, my name is Amina and I'm your decision-making specialist, and today is day 13. I'm here, day 13, March 29th, 2020, and in-house shelter. And my mind has just a collage of different things that I've noticed throughout the week that are about how people are managing to find some simplicity and some connection when we're physically distancing ourselves and everything else out there, and sometimes inside in our world feels like a lot of anxiety and fears and doubts and uncertainty. And in the middle of that, here are some things that I noticed. One, a family of 4 used to have dinner with one of my clients, and she really enjoyed the 2 kids and the mom and the dad. And so she was thinking about them, and she had called, and she and the woman were talking about how much fun they had having dinners. They would have dinner together once a month. And sometimes they would bring in food from one of the restaurants that they liked. Sometimes they would cook with each other. Sometimes all different ways they've decided to stay connected with each other in their friendships. And so what she did is she actually called one of the restaurants, a Thai restaurant, that they had ordered food from, so she knew what everybody liked. So she ordered the food, had it delivered to the house, called to tell them ahead of time not to cook dinner, that she had a surprise. And there was a knock on the door. When the man opened the door, there was a box of all of their favorite Thai foods. And that was her way of adding some kindness and generosity and connection for all of them. Another woman I noticed, I went to the store to get some groceries, and I noticed that the store on the floor has red strips of tape, and you're supposed to stay behind that, and that makes that physical distance that's mandated and has shown to be effective in not transferring from one person to another the germs, and if you sneeze and so on. And what I noticed is that one woman was at the red tape. There was another woman that was in front of her red tape, and by today's standards, pretty close to the woman in the front. The woman turned around, and I was watching, and the woman looked and she said, "You know, I'm not in a rush. Would you like to go ahead of me?" And the woman that was standing too close stopped for a minute, and the other woman said, "Oh no, go ahead, it's perfectly fine." So that woman that was standing too close was now in front. The woman who was in front is now the safe distance behind the woman. And I was thinking, you know, she could have been really rude about that. And I really appreciated the gesture that she did, how she did it was so graceful. And I realized I want to put that in my toolbox of generosity and gracefulness really having massive benefits. Another family, one of the guys texted me, and he works at home mostly by himself. And now he has a whole entire family, just as he put it, a herd of people around everywhere. So they had a closet that wasn't too cluttered, unlike mine. And he moved all of his office into that closet. And so then he has a sign and it just says working on the door, and everyone knows that that's the work time. And then after work, he comes out, takes off the sign, and he's himself and not working. So what he did is not only find space for him, he did it in a way where the other people didn't have to go around tiptoeing around. And he kept a demarcation of when he was at work and when he was at home. And then I noticed I went to one of the stores, and I only went to two. I promise I didn't just flit around to all the stores. And this store had a greeter at the door. One of the doors didn't be open, so everyone was funneled in through that door. As they go in, the grocery cart is wiped off. It was wiped off when the person got it. It's wiped off a second time as they go in. And the person at the door explains very carefully that they will use their own bags. If you brought your bag, then please leave it in the cart because we're not going to touch it. And while you're shopping, we want everyone to be served as well as possible. So limit yourself to 2 of each item because we want to be sure that our shelves stay stocked as much as possible so that nobody walks out of the store without what they really need and want. And I thought that was just a lovely way of saying, don't take everything off the shelf and hoard it in your own little pantry. And then I noticed that one of the stores that I had, Trader Joe's, that I had talked about in one of the other videos, that each time they seemed to be adding something new. And this was only my second time. And not only was there the queue to the right of the entrance, also what I noticed is that the queue was moving and then it stopped, and then it would move and then it stopped. And when I got toward the front, what I realized is that they were only letting a certain number of shoppers in at a time. And while I was in there and standing in line, I noticed that there were 2 people, and they walked to where the aisles were, and they were obviously counting, and I couldn't figure out what they were counting. And then I overheard one say, "We can let in more because these people are in line and they'll be moving out, and I've only noticed 3 people at the shelves." And so I talked to one of the people. She happened to walk by when I was in line, and she said that they did that for 2 reasons. One, so that people could keep the physical distance. The other, she said, is it allows their associates to put the food on the shelf, the products on the shelf, without disturbing the shoppers or getting too close. So the shelves are stocked, nobody is crowded together. And I thought that was just excellent. And then how another family has handled their closet is they have a closet, and it's just, there's a big sign on it. Everybody colored the sign and had colored pencils and pens. And she sent me a snapshot of it. And what it was is it just said, "Me time." And so everybody takes turns, and they go in and they can read, they can take a little nap, they can do whatever. There's a little cot in there, and there are books, there are toys, there are things to color. Just a nice little selection. so that they've built in some me time, which is so important. And so each of us, and I'm guessing you are too, and if you would like to share what you're doing, that would be terrific, because then I can pass it on. And I noticed that each of us is finding a way to ease, even for an eyelash of a moment, the stress and the pressure, the new routines that are going on in our lives now. And I noticed just before I came to make the video, something that I did that I didn't even notice I was doing. And my office used to be our bedroom. And on the door, I had 2 red ribbons that I had read in Feng Shui, when you have 2 red ribbons, one for each person, and you tie a bow on the doorknob, that helps create and keep communication smooth and love flowing. And I realized that every time I go into my office, I've been untying those bows and retying them. And I'll tell you a personal thing. It's not about communication. My husband and I communicate very well now. We, like every other couple, we have worked on it. So it's not about the communication. It's about my way of remembering and setting the future as best I can for the love to last. And that's actually what all of these people are doing. They're planting a seed for what the future, when we get out, can be like, rather than just taking the leftovers that are there. We can figure out what's important to us, how we want to be kind and generous and loving, and put that in our toolbox as we step out the door into the world. Thanks for coming. Pack your toolbox with everything that you want to have your world the very best you can in the middle of everything that's going on. So write that story that you want to live and share, and write it absolutely every minute that you're here. All right, thanks. Come again. I'll be here. Let me know how you're doing. I'll be wondering. Take care. Bye for now.